Hey friends, welcome back. This is the AI Empowered series, the complete guide to AI in your personal and professional lives. Today we're going to be talking about something unique about AI that can really give you a new perspective when you're working or just in your personal lives. And that's using AI as a role-playing collaborator. So something that's really interesting about AI is that you can tell it to act like somebody, like a certain profile, and it will. I'll be giving you a role-playing system that transforms the generic AI persona that it acts as into an interesting collaborator that acts in a certain way. And most people don't unlock this functionality. I think it's a real blind spot because it can give you a lot of interesting information, basically creating somebody or a role that you would be interested in talking to or seeing how they react to certain things. So I'm going to be giving you this master professional role-playing system that consistently produces sort of audience perfect AI content that resonates with, your stakeholders or even your customers and their communication preferences. Building on some of the prior modules and how we interact with AI, this role-playing piece is a really unique tool in your toolbox of AI. And you may not need it all the time, but when you do, it's extremely valuable to be able to interact with the profile that you build. The sort of generic AI personality that you get when you just log on to ChatGPT or Claude kind of misses specific use cases you may need sometimes and can actually be just a bit overly positive or validating to you when you don't necessarily want that. It can feel good for AI to say, oh, that's a brilliant idea, but maybe it's not, and you need to hear that it's not. Crafting the persona within AI that you're working with can really allow you to improve that strategic partner that you're looking for in AI. I think you'll find if you apply this system, people will immediately recognize content that applies directly to them because you've used this role-playing idea. The most impactful AI applications are very specific about giving you the AI tool that fits your exact use case. And that's a form of role playing within AI. So this system transforms it from that generic provider to that strategic partner. And adopting it can really transform the way that AI interacts with you, and it'll transform your output. What is this professional role-playing framework? So it's a system that approaches it to adopt any professional perspective and deliver authentic, stakeholder-specific content consistently. So some key points of this system are that role definition. So telling it specific professional background, experience level, and expertise domains for an authentic perspective. For example, when you're starting out crafting AI personas, you want to open up a chat and say, can you please roleplay as my manager? I'm a project manager and I'm reporting to the program manager. I want to workshop a present status report presentation on my project with key stakeholders. And I want you to act as my program manager reacting to my presentation so that I can get a more complete understanding of what his requirements are and meet him or her at their needs. So provide that role and then provide sort of that context integration. What's the industry knowledge the person needs to know? What's the regulatory awareness? What is their personality like? Start to tell it how it communicates, tone, terminology, an explanation of the style of that person, and then priorities. Try to meet your manager at their needs and understand what are their priorities and what are they going to be reacting to when you're presenting. I think you'll find that when you start to deconstruct these roles to give to AI, it'll really help you automatically understand that person better as well. It creates a really strong sense of empathy, which can just by itself improve your work. But also having AI interact in this way will just let you directly feel what it is like to be in the room with that person. So what's this process? So identify the role, break it down, give it the specific background, everything that it needs to play that role, communicate that to the AI, and with a set of priorities, activate that persona by saying, okay, now do not break character and act in this way while I present my status report. This framework will allow that AI to take on that role in a really impressive manner. You're going to see that for the most part, it won't break character unless you specifically tell it to, and it's going to act in a really interesting way. It'll help you prepare for some of these impactful conversations in your life. That audience perspective is also a really important technique within this role playing. You can start to have AI act as your specific audience, let's say with your customer. If you're a product manager, you can use this in a powerful way to test features. You can create that sort of ideal customer profile that you're building your product for and give that to AI to act as you're testing features. Do the same thing we just discussed about making the persona for your manager, but create it for the customer, so downstream. And you're going to find that, again, your empathy and understanding of that customer will really expand as you break it down and give it to AI. But then you're going to actually be able to interface with your customer without having them in the room. I know that maybe you're watching this and feeling a bit of skepticism that it actually will act in a certain way, like your customer. But if you're building that persona in a complete way, like we have practiced with our prompt engineering and context engineering and some of these iterative refinements, you can apply those same techniques to persona development. And you can really start to craft impactful personas in your life or business and start to really work with them to better understand your work or your relationship. It's a really powerful tool for empathy and something that can be applied not just for business, but if you have to have a tough conversation with somebody in your life, a family member or a friend, you can start to give AI personas so that you can understand what that might feel like for you and prepare so that you can go into those conversations confident that you have gone through some sort of simulation of this before. So I want to talk about some key points on these personas. Craft different ones that have specific knowledge levels, experience, background, current challenges. Start to understand and build out their communication preferences, and then really define what is the goal of that persona. When you give somebody a goal, it really aligns their interests, and that persona will hold that goal to their priority and align its feedback into that. So if you create that customer profile that really wants value in a specific way, give that the goal and everything will form around that as well. Let's think about building a template for this audience persona. So tell AI something like, adopt the perspective of specific stakeholder who, key characteristics and experience. This audience has this knowledge level about the subject matter, and this is their primary concerns and constraints. And typically respond best to this communication approach. And the primary goals are, and then put in that specific objective and success metrics. This will really help you to build out that persona and a comprehensive prompt that allows you to get that persona to reflect back to you. This audience perspective approach really helps to better understand what you're doing, what you're building, and how to do your best work. In a similar way that we've built now prompt engineering, databases, context databases, refinement databases, you can start to build these persona databases as well. You don't want to go through the effort of building a whole persona and then it getting lost in the list of chats that you have on your app. You want to take these personas that work, put them into a database so you can reuse them in different ways, refine them to make them better, and have this sort of library of people that you can workshop with and have it give you their perspective when you're doing your work. So I want to talk more about this communication style engineering for professional impact. The sophisticated approach we're discussing calibrates AI's communication to match that role and the audience engagement that we're looking for. So really think about calibrating that tone, that, exactly how they would speak. Start to manage the terminology and the way that you're crafting that person's voice. How do they talk? Give them structural preferences in which I really want them to be conversational or they're very formal, and then optimize that engagement. So, ask it to be impatient, ask it to have a bad day, and it's going to act in a certain worst case scenario. And you'll see the AI really transform into these interesting personas and how this specific person under these specific situations will react to what you're saying and doing. I want to go into now that sort of persona library, and I want to blow your mind with some of these role-playing advanced techniques that can really take this application of AI to the next level. And that's multi-perspective integration for complex applications. So it's taking these personas as AI and simulating AI with these personas interacting. So you can actually take some of the personas that you've built and put them into the AI and have a conversation with itself across these different personas. You give it one persona, you say act in this way, and then you say interface with this other persona, and then in the chat you can have them talk to each other. You could even go through a fun exercise of building a persona of yourself. I think you'll find that you really will understand yourself a little bit better when you start to deconstruct who you are and how you work and how you speak and your values and all these really important aspects of understanding yourself, but also putting it into the AI and seeing what does it look like for you to be sort of the digital version of yourself. And then you can have that interact with some of these other AI personas that you've built. You can stimulate full conversations without you actually having to be in that loop. Kind of scary, really interesting. And I think if you try that, it'll be quite insightful. It can't get people exactly right, but if you build and refine these personas, it can really reveal a lot about yourself, the people in your lives, and how you work and what you're doing. It's a really transformative technique that's helped me deepen my empathy and do better work. So I hope you find some value in that. You can even further develop techniques of primary and secondary role structures. What is the dominant perspective? And then when can it revert into supporting viewpoints to find that comprehensive coverage? You can have a sequential perspective switching. So, automatically switch from one persona to the next. So you can sort of efficiently go through different customer profiles. You can have a collaborative framework for like a team-based approach. You can interface with AI and have it go down the line of different team members acting in different roles and their perspective on the thing that you're doing. You can say, I want one to be a technical engineer, one to be my manager, one to be a business analyst, one to be the customer, and really get a full range of perspectives based on what you're presenting. It'll be really interesting to see how they react differently to the same input. One of the more difficult ones is the opposing viewpoint integration. Have it be adversarial, have it be contrarian, and it'll really cover the blind spots that you have. You want AI to be that strategic partner that's helping you get the best output. Sometimes, counterintuitively, that's not just agreeing with everything you say. You can use AI to confront the thing that you're doing and show you what you're missing. If you add that contrarian or adversarial approach, you can sort of anticipate the things that you're missing and fill in those gaps proactively. I really hope that these techniques expand your horizon of how you can use these role-playing personas to just enhance your work, but enhance your empathy. I know it's a bit strange to have AI act like somebody else, but in these sort of safe experimental areas where you're not making a persona and you're putting that person into the world, and you're just using it to enhance yourself and your work, I think it's a really responsible way of applying this technique. So I just urge you to use that sort of ethical and responsible approach to this technique because it's really powerful. But yeah, you do need to be careful with it. So how do we get these roles and personas to a really authentic version? Because I think you'll find if you just put in some basic characteristics of somebody, it's not going to feel like that person. So you need that approach to building the personas, and that's what I'm going to provide to you. Verify that the AI maintains role-appropriate knowledge, depth, and perspective. Start to tweak where it's not feeling quite like that person or your ideal customer. And then furthermore, dial in their tone and voice. So get that communication authenticity so that it feels like you're actually talking to that person, not just that that person is now an AI with a sort of robotic, structured, formal approach. Give it the context that's really relevant to your situation. So give that flexibility within that persona so they can act in different contexts. And then, yeah, add on a layer of standards that that person has. When you work with them in a certain role, you want to make sure that, their priorities are aligned with what their priorities are in their role. That can be flexible as well, but yeah, really start to tweak and refine what it is that they're looking for in terms of your work. Test the role adoption through specific scenarios and understand where things can improve. Evaluate that conversation, add those tweaks, and then compare the two different versions of the persona and understand which one is more aligned with what your need. These professional frameworks will give you that audience perspective that will really help deepen your understanding of who you are, what you're doing, what your work is. It'll allow you to really take that next step of using AI as that collaborator. We've talked about using it as this sort of strategic partner in understanding the situation, giving it prompts so that it really unlocks some real value that you can use directly in your work. This is that next level of using AI as a real partner, as this multifaceted, multidimensional collaborator. You can sit down and talk with a variety of personas, all without getting out of your chair. It's something that would be very difficult. You'd have to have a meeting and get everyone in the room and discuss everything after having put in a lot of effort to get everyone there. You gain a lot from those meetings, but that takes a lot of other people's time, effort, and organization. If you have a fairly simple application of needing to ask, how would somebody react in this way? What is someone's response to what I'm doing? You can start to build that understanding very quickly and without as much effort. So really think about how you can apply all these personas in your professional work. I think you'll find you'll start just building out personas of important people in your life and work, and it just helps you improve the way that you're communicating with them. And of course, you'll start to communicate with AI better because you'll understand how it is building its own personality and its limitations there as well. Start to identify the most important people and build out that template and framework of personas for them. Start to play around with some of these advanced techniques of having them talk to each other or you talking to a group. Build that library so that you can really draw on these personas continuously. You're going to be putting in a bit of effort to build them. Don't lose that effort. Keep it in a library and refine it. So I hope you learned something about role playing today. It seems like a gimmick, but there's some really powerful applications that you can use for this in your work and just in your life. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is it weird to role play with AI? Have you found useful applications of this? Do you have any new approaches on how to role play or create personas? Let me know and take a look in the description for some links to more about myself. I've written some books on AI integration in your personal and professional lives. So join my community and stay engaged with this content. We're going to be learning a lot more about AI. So stay tuned. Thanks.